NBA free agency is in full effect, and now that majority of the top players have signed, I'm going to rate my top 10 free agent signings from this offseason. If you guys are new around here, make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 3K subs. We're going to be grinding out NBA content all year. Before I get into the top 10, I want to let you guys know that some players still haven't signed when I'm recording this, like LeBron, although we know he's going to be a Laker. Miles Bridges also still hasn't signed. DeMar DeRozan has not signed. That's a big one that still hasn't happened yet. Then there's a few smaller guys like Buddy Hield, Gary Trent Jr., and the list goes on. Also, it's worth mentioning, but these guys will not be in my top 10 because they re-signed to their same teams. Tyrese Maxey got a bag, 5 years, $205 million. James Harden staying with the Clippers for 2 years, $70 million. Patrick Williams got a 5-year, $90 million contract with the Bulls. Will be topping 4 years, $60 million with the Pacers. Kelly Oubre Jr., 2 years, $16.3 million. My boy Goga Bitadze got 3 years, $25 million. Royce O'Neal, 4 years, $44 million. This one was a little shocking. Isaiah Joe, 4 years, $48 million to return to the Thunder. This one too, Aaron Wiggins, 5 years, $47 million. So their bench is getting paid. Rashawn Holmes, 2 years, $25 million. Kevin Love returning to the Heat for 2 years, $8 million. Honorable mention number 1, Tobias Harris. While he's probably a top 10 player that was signed since free agency started, he's a top 10 player out of all the people that signed. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The Pistons are not in a spot to win, and they went out and got Tobias for 2 years, $52 million. He's entering his age 32 season, and he was coming off kind of a down year. Like, he had his ups and downs throughout the year. Kind of at the beginning of the year, he was looking good, but by the end, it just wasn't good. I just don't really get this signing a lot. I just really don't get it too much from the Pistons standpoint, but hey, Tobias got his money, so props to him. Honorable mention number 2, De'Anthony Melton. The Warriors went out and got De'Anthony Melton after, of course, losing Klay Thompson. Melton signed a 1-year, $12.8 million deal. Maybe he'll start some games. I kind of expect him to be off the bench. I like this signing. I feel like they probably paid him a little much, $12.8 million, but I'm a Warriors fan if you guys don't know, and they need some depth. So I like the Melton signing. We of course need stars too. Like, it's just Curry now and like Draymond, and Kuminga will take a step forward, but that's beside the point. I like the Melton signing for the bench. Honorable mention number 3, Nicholas Batum. Batum is going to be turning 36 years old this year, and he is back with the LA Clippers with a 2-year, $9.6 million deal. It just couldn't crack the top 10 for me. At number 10, Najee Marshall. With the Mavs losing PJ Washington, Josh Green, and Tim Hardaway Jr., they need some guys. And I feel like Najee Marshall is a guy. 3 years, $27 million, not the most money in the world. So a pretty friendly contract that he could come in, play the 3, maybe come off the bench, depends what the Mavs do to finish off the offseason. Last year, he shot 39% from 3, and he's going to be good at defense. And we'll talk about another Mavs signing coming up soon, but the Mavs need some defense, and Najee Marshall can provide that. At number 9, Derrick Jones Jr. So the Clippers went out and got Derrick Jones Jr. They signed him on a 3-year, $30 million deal. And although his numbers don't jump off the page, like last year, he averaged 8 points per game and 3 rebounds per game with 1 assist per game. His shooting numbers were also not good, and he also wasn't the best at defense. I thought in the playoffs for the Mavs, who obviously made a run to the finals, I thought he played pretty good and was very vital in that run. But with the Clippers losing Paul George, they need another forward, and they went out and got Derrick Jones Jr. Maybe DeMar DeRozan ends up going to the Clippers. That's my prediction. But for now, they got Derrick Jones Jr. And if they do go out and get DeMar, maybe, Derrick Jones Jr. comes off the bench. Still, it's a solid signing, 3 years, $30 million. I like it. Number 8, Jonas Valanciunas. Now, with a lot of the people that I'm ranking in the top 10, these are going to be people that can impact winning. And Jonas Valanciunas is going to the Washington Wizards, who are obviously not going to be winning pretty much at all. They had 14 wins last year, something crazy. The reason that I'm putting him on here, and he's at number 8, he's not just an honorable mention, or he's not at number 10 barely on the list, is because I feel like this is kind of a good deal for the Wizards. 3 years, $30 mil feels a little low. Like, I feel like he could have got more. I'm honestly shocked that he didn't get more. The fact that he had to go to the Washington Wizards to take this kind of money, it just feels a little cheap. So good on the Wizards for pulling this off. Although I know a lot of you guys are going to say he's not that good. That's true. He's not that good. But the next guy we're about to talk about got a very similar deal, and Jonas is just better. Last year he averaged 12 points per game, 9 rebounds per game. I know he kind of had a down year, but he's 32 years old. He just played all 82 games, by the way, for the Pelicans, which is a big deal, I feel like. I like this contract for the Wizards a lot, but I don't I mean, they're not going to really win. I don't expect them to win in the next 3 years. So from that standpoint, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but at least they got somebody on a pretty friendly deal. Number 7, Jalen Smith. I like this signing for the Bulls. They got him on a 3-year, $27 million deal. And if you guys are more of an NBA casual, you might not know who Jalen Smith is, but he was the 10th pick in the 2020 NBA draft. He only played 17 minutes per game last year. He averaged 9.9 points per game and 5.5 rebounds per game. He did shoot 42.5% from 3, which is kind of crazy. He only shot like 2 to 3 threes a game though. But I don't know. I just got a weird feeling that this is going to work out for the Bulls, or at least not be a train wreck like we've seen with some of their recent players and just contract. It's a low-key pickup that I feel like is really going to go like under the radar for a lot of people, but I like this. So that's why I got Jalen Smith with the Bulls at number 7. Number 6, Chris Paul. The Spurs went out and got CP3. Now, it's no surprise. It's no secret that Chris Paul is old now. He's 39 years old. He's about to turn 40. But the reason that I like this and I have it at number 6 is strictly for like Wemby's development and the development of all of the young players that the San Antonio Spurs have. Getting a guy that's been in the league for how many years? I don't even know, like close to 20 years, getting that veteran presence in the locker room and just you know what I'm saying? That's big. That is big for a team's development. And I don't think you could name a better point guard to put alongside Wemby, you know, just to throw him lobs and just get him the ball. Like Chris Paul is the perfect guy. It is only 1 year. Maybe they'll, you know, sign him longer after. Maybe he'll retire after this year. Who knows? And the more that I think about this, maybe the San Antonio Spurs knew that they were going to get Chris Paul. And so that's why they went out and traded Rob Dillingham, who they selected with the 8th pick. I still don't like that at all. I thought Rob would have been really good with the Spurs, but they went out and brought in Chris Paul right after trading Rob. It kind of makes a little more sense now. Number 5, Andre Drummond. I bet you guys didn't expect a backup, a bench player to be this high up on my rankings, but I think it's just such a good pickup for the 76ers. They got him on a 2-year, $10+ million deal, which I feel like is kind of low. If you guys don't know, I'll let you guess real quick. How old is Andre Drummond? Like, get a quick guess in your head. Pause the video if you want to think about it. Andre Drummond is only 30 years old. I feel like, to me and in everyone's mind, we think he's older, like 34 at least, something around there. He's only 30. Last year averaged 8.4 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, and only 17 minutes. I don't expect that number to be too much higher as far as the minutes go, because he will be playing behind, you know, Joel Embiid, but he's one of the best rebounders of all time. The stats say that. There's no denying the facts. And so when Embiid goes to the bench, you will feel comfortable with Andre Drummond in the game. He's going to get all the boards. Maxey's going to throw him a couple lobs. He's not really going to do too much offensively except that, and of course grabbing boards. But for a team that is going to be potentially contending for an NBA Finals this year, I love this pickup a lot for the 76ers. Number 4, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The Magic got their guy KCP to the Magic for 3 years, $66 million, which is kind of a lot for a role player, but they expect him to be a constant in their lineup as they, you know, are going to be a constant in the NBA Eastern Conference playoffs for the foreseeable future. There was rumors of Clay potentially going to the Magic. That didn't happen. Maybe even Paul George, some other guys, with Gary Harris leaving most likely. They went out and got KCP, who was slotted at that 2 guard. He's a guy that's been shooting 40% from 3 for as long as I can remember. And it's no secret, the way Paolo Banchero plays, they need some spacing around him, and KCP is the perfect fit, the perfect 3-and-D guy. I mean, there's not much better fits that the Magic could have got. There's not much players that fit the Magic's, you know, rotation or lineup better than KCP. So I actually love this for them. Number 3, Klay Thompson. So Klay Thompson decided to sign with the Dallas Mavericks. I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna say what maybe some people are thinking. Klay Thompson picked Luka over LeBron. He did, because it came down to Mavs, Lakers. The Clippers were also in consideration a little bit. And I completely thought that he was going to stay in California. Just knowing him, being a Warriors fan, following him forever, I know that like everything he does, you know, his brother used to be on the Dodgers, his dad used to be on the Lakers. Everything that this family does is just based out of California. He loves like the ocean, stuff like that. He feels like a family guy. So now he's going to Dallas. He's going to Texas, going to be away from his family. I mean, he probably doesn't care, but 3 years, $50 million, I think is a pretty solid deal for the Mavs. Like, I feel like it's kind of cheap. The NBA world and just sports media has this like misconception that Klay Thompson is bad at basketball. In the play-in, he was 0 for 10. The Warriors lost. We know that. They were eliminated. He had an all-time bad performance. But last year, he still averaged 18 points per game on almost 40% from 3. it was like a slight down year for him, but that's good. Like 18 points per game, 40% from three. He's solid on defense. He's not the player he used to be, which is a concern. If he was still good at defense, this might be the #1 signing for me. But since the Mavs have Luka and Kyrie, who are already not great at defense, now you're bringing in Klay to play the three. I mean, maybe he comes off the bench. I don't really expect that, but those are three players that aren't the best at defense. So hopefully it works, but that's my only concern. That's why this signing is not any higher for me. #2, Isaiah Hartenstein. I feel like this one's gonna shock you guys a little bit. The OKC Thunder went out and got Isaiah Hartenstein, 3 years, $87 million. And let me know in the comments, are you surprised to see Hartenstein up at #2? Because that's how much I like this. I know it's a decent amount of money, 3 years, $87 million. That's about 30 mil a year. But the Thunder needed a center desperately, and they went out and got their center of the future. I expect them to start, so that'll mean sliding Lou Dort to the bench. So they'll have SGA, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and now Isaiah Hartenstein. I like that a lot. Like, the Thunder are going to be a team that's going to win a lot in the next 3 years. Now they have a center. I like the fit a lot. I feel like a lot of people do. A lot of people kind of expected that the Thunder would go after him in free agency, and of course they did, and they ended up landing him. It's unfortunate for the Knicks that they had to see him go, but after bringing in Mikal Bridges and re-signing OG Anunoby, they just really didn't have the money for it unless they were going to trade Mitchell Robinson, which I guess they either couldn't pull off or they just weren't interested in. Hartenstein finds a new home in OKC, who was just, the 1 seed last year and potentially going to be the 1 seed again. We'll see what happens, but the Thunder are looking pretty scary. #1, Paul George. The Philadelphia 76ers end up landing Paul George, and they signed him to a 4-year, $212 million max contract. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the contract is a little rough. That's a lot of money, and by the last year of his deal, so right now he's 34, so the last year he'll be 37, 38, whatever. Yeah, you're gonna be paying him like over 50 million for that year. Like, that's a little crazy. But right now you got prime Joel Embiid, who was averaging 35 points per game, 11 rebounds per game last year. You got Tyrese Maxey, who broke out. Now you bring in Paul George. This is a team that could really go on a deep playoff run. Everyone's been counting out Embiid. They say he's a playoff choker. You bring in Paul George, who also hasn't had too much playoff success, but maybe they can get it done. And I was watching Kenny Beecham when he said this. Paul George's contract is a lot, and like I said, the last year he's going to be like 50 million when he's like 37 or 38 years old. He's probably not going to be that valuable, but you're doing this contract for the now so that they could contend now. You need Paul George. If you don't bring him in, is that team gonna win it all? Are they gonna have a chance? Probably not. I mean, maybe a chance, but you know what I'm saying? If this works out, you're not going to care about paying Paul George 50 million when he's 37. Paul George is one of the only players in free agency, other than like DeMar DeRozan. I guess LeBron technically is a free agent, but not really, that can severely like alter a franchise. I know people are going to say he's washed. I mean, he's definitely not the same player he used to be. But last year, averaging 23 points per game on 41% from three. I mean, it's Paul George. Like, he could play defense, he can score. I like this a lot for the 76ers, and this is going to make the East just that much more interesting as teams are going to try and take down the defending champion Boston Celtics.